With Pokémon not having a game announced for 2024 and with it seemingly being the plan so far, we might really be on the verge of the first off year since 2015. For the most part, this is fine, Game Freak needs to rest and we can hope for a better product this way. Still, there is a part of Pokémon's fandom that might suffer quite a bit more because of this. So hey, I'm Not So Ace Trainer, and what about Worlds 2025? Let's get into it. Sometimes I get so lost in Pokémon's lore and mysteries, or even the overall fun of exploring the Pokémon world and talking about these creatures, that I forget that there is another side to all of this, a competitive side. Every year we have various events ranging from regionals to ICs to locals and more, where people play against each other in the various different forms of competitive Pokémon games, and one of them is of course VGC. So while I do want to read everyone's opinions on this, I'm especially interested in anyone that plays competitive and tries to or actually goes to ICs, regionals and even worlds. So while the Pokémon TCG has new sets releasing every few months and Pokémon Go keeps slowly introducing new Pokémon into the game, same as Pokémon Unite, the main series is a bit different. They depend on new games and DLCs, just like I depend on you clicking the like and subscribe button. But without a new game releasing, things would simply stay the same for another year. I discussed this on stream with Oliver Art, a very talented artist and also a talented player, as he gathered enough championship points to make it to Worlds this year, and he said that the format would undoubtedly grow boring in case nothing changed until Worlds 2025. Even if Pokémon Legends ZA, the only game we are sure is coming out in 2025, comes out early in the year, it likely won't be a game where multiplayer is the focus, at least not if Pokémon Legends Arceus is anything to go by. Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet would then be once again the platform where these battles take place. It was that way in 2023 with the base game, it will be that way this year 2024 with the base game plus the DLC, and then it would be the same in 2025 with the base game and DLC once again. All of the Pokémon introduced in Pokémon Legends Arceus were only available in Gen 9, meaning that even new Pokémon introduced in Pokémon Legends ZA would only likely see competitive gameplay in Gen 10, which hopefully is still at least 2 years away. This would create a stale format that could be changed by allowing 2 instead of 1 special Pokémon, but still, the pool of available Pokémon would still be very much the same. This is the main issue that I feel a lack of 2024 game would create. Sure, it doesn't affect the casual player like me, but it affects a large part of the community. Anyone that has watched the Pokémon World stream knows how many people have their eyes on Pokémon, be it players or just spectators. And so it would affect not only the player base but also the viewership. So how can we fix this? I'll start with something I can't see being the solution, and that is using Pokémon Legends ZA as the platform. Unless they plan on fully implementing the classic battle system into the new Legends game, with all the held items and all the abilities, it would create a situation where people will need to learn a completely new battle system that may or may not be competitively viable. I recently made a video about possible changes to the Legends battle system in this new game, but even with the changes I mentioned, I can't imagine it being anything past fun multiplayer action, not really competitive. So the first thing that comes to mind in order to fix this is a patch. Pokémon Legends ZA will bring back a lot of Pokémon not available in Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet. And if it is released in the beginning of the year, before the Pokémon World Championships, then they could simply patch some returning Pokémon into Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet, allowing them to be transferred through Pokémon Home from Pokémon Legends ZA. This would give everyone a new pool of Pokémon to play with. The only issue is that, well, we all know fairly well how long home integration usually takes. It took them half a year for Scarlet and Violet and BDSP and 4 months for Legends Arceus. Still, this would give competitive players 3 months with a new format. Every tournament until then, though, would lack anything new. There's also another possibility. This did not happen in Gen 8 as the pandemic kinda cancelled the first 2 worlds with Pokémon Sword and Pokémon Shield, and so 2022 was turned into this game's grand showdown, but before the Switch, every remake had its showing at Worlds as well. Like we talked about, Legends Arceus wasn't a VGC viable game, and BDSP would never take the place of Sword and Shield, which was the main game for Gen 8 and made by Game Freak. Before this, Let's Go was also a game that lacked many of the mainstays of the franchise, making its multiplayer battling also a non-viable option. but Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were used for VGC during their time. The system was the same as in the main games. You had IVs and EVs, you had abilities and health items, and so people battled it out in those nostalgia trips. So what if we do have something else waiting to be announced during the next presents or even during Pokemon World, since that is kinda when they talk about the competitive side of Pokemon. You've heard me talk about a secret new remake for 2024 multiple times, and I always look at Johto for answers. That alone would kinda fix the stale format by giving players something new to play with, even if a bit limited because they would likely follow the BDSP route of having only the original Pokédex. But there's also another way to do this, one we have kind of forgotten about. If Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet are indeed the games that will be used as the platform for the 2025 World Championships, then they could also be the games that suffer some kind of change, be it with or without the release of Pokémon Legends ZA early in the year. There are many loose ends in the game, many mysteries, and many characters that could have had a little bit more. Right now, we only barely understand Paradox Pokemon and Terrapagos. Briar disappeared without a trace, and Heath, a character that, considering the powers of Terra Energy, could have interacted with us, was only a picture and nothing else. I know we did have the epilogue with Pecharunt, and an epilogue is the final chapter after the main story, but many books have multiple epilogues focusing on different characters, and this one would of course focus on Briar. This could satisfy not only the casual player by giving them a new story, but also the competitive player by introducing key Pokemon that would shake the format and give everyone something new to play with next year. For the lore enthusiasts, he could explain why we have symbols in the ground in Area 0, why we have the strange metal plate in that place, where did they actually come from? Why were there rumors of treasure inside the crater in the older days of the Paldean Empire, even without anyone going inside? It could create a situation where Heath and Briar have a conversation with us there, kinda like we had with Professor Sada or Turo in the Crystal Pool in Kitakami. Maybe some new Paradox Pokemon would show up, or a new mythical. Maybe simply returning Pokemon. And maybe this wouldn't happen in the Great Crater of Paldea, but actually in the mysterious mountain that supposedly leads us to the Kalos region. Maybe serving not only as epilogue number 2 for Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet, but also as not really a prologue to Pokémon Legends ZA, since that likely happens in the past, but a teaser in order to fan the flames of hype for a game that might still have a long way to go before it is being played on our Switches and maybe even on our brand new consoles. And that is all I have for you today, how to make sure that next year's Pokemon Worlds aren't played in a very stale format. But what about you? How would you fix this? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content, and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. Also, you can become a channel member or check out my merch in order to further support the channel. I'd be forever thankful for that. You can follow me on social media or check out one of my streams here and on Twitch. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.